You close your eyes, and for a fraction of a second, the world disappears. You feel the weight of your eyelids, the brief, cool press of skin on skin. And then you open them. The light returns. The walls are where you left them. The floor remains solid. Your brain resumes its role as the effortless architect of reality. But imagine that you don't open them. Or rather, you do, but nothing changes. You are standing in a room. It is 68 degrees, perfectly silent, and absolutely, fundamentally black. There is no sliver of light beneath the door. There is no glow from a charging phone. There is only the void. At first, there is a certain novelty to it, a silence of the eyes. But as the minutes turn into hours, a quiet question begins to circulate in the back of your mind. It isn't a loud panic, but a steady, rhythmic doubt. If the world outside has stopped sending signals, how long can the world inside keep itself together? You wonder if, without the anchor of sight, you might simply drift away from yourself. You are safe. Your heart is beating at 65 beats per minute, your lungs are drawing in oxygen, and your nervous system is fully intact. You aren't losing your mind. You are simply witnessing it under a new set of rules. And if you stay here long enough, past the first day, past the second, into the third, you will discover something that few people ever get to see. There is a hidden reward at the end of this sensory fast, a specific cognitive recalibration that only occurs when the visual noise of the world is completely silenced. We will reach that moment soon. To understand what is happening, we have to step inside the system. Think of your brain not as a computer, but as a vast, high-stakes theater. Usually, the stage is flooded with spotlights, thousands of bits of information per second. Colors, movements, depths, faces are screaming for attention. But now, the lights have been cut. The stage is dark. In the first room of this system, we find the things that continue. This is the Hall of Rhythms. Deep in your brain, a tiny cluster of cells called the suprachiasmatic nucleus is still keeping time. It is your internal clock, roughly the size of a grain of rice. Even without the sun to guide it, your body tries to maintain its schedule. Your core temperature still dips in the early morning hours. Your hunger still peaks around noon. But without the blue light of the morning sky to reset this clock, it begins to drift. Your internal day might stretch to 25 hours. You are no longer synced with the rotation of the Earth. You are vibrating to your own independent frequency. We move deeper into the second room, the gallery of sensation. This is where things begin to slow down. Without the constant demand to process visual data, which consumes roughly 30% of your brain's cortex, there is a massive surplus of energy. Your brain is a hunter-gatherer of information, and it does not like being unemployed. It begins to divert resources. You might notice that the fabric of your shirt feels heavier, or the sound of your own breathing becomes as loud as a conversation. The gain on your other senses is being turned up. In the third room, we find the space where you lose your sharpness. This is the chamber of boundaries. In the light, you know where you end and the room begins. In total darkness, the map of your body starts to blur. Without a horizon line, your vestibular system, the fluid in your inner ear, struggles to tell your brain if you are tilting slightly to the left or right. You might feel like you're floating, or as if the room has expanded to the size of a stadium. Your brain is losing its grip on the where and focusing entirely on the what. Then, around the 36-hour mark, something remarkable happens. Your brain realizes that no data is coming from the eyes, but it refuses to accept the silence. It begins to manufacture its own reality. You might see flashes of light, shifting geometric patterns, or even distinct shapes moving in the void. This isn't a sign of illness, it's a sign of a healthy creative system. Scientists call this Charles Bonnet syndrome or the prisoner's cinema. Your visual cortex is so hungry for input that it starts firing at random, pulling from your memory and your imagination to fill the blank canvas. It is a desperate, beautiful attempt to keep the lights on. There is a common myth that 3 days in the dark will lead to permanent psychological damage, or that your eyes will forget how to see. In reality, the human system is incredibly resilient. Your retinas don't atrophy in 72 hours. Your mind doesn't fracture. Another myth suggests that you will develop super hearing or be able to navigate your house like a bat. You won't gain new powers, but you will gain new access. You are simply learning to listen to the signals that were always there, previously drowned out by the sun. But myths are static. What really matters is how this process unfolds over time. After the first 24 hours, the experience is largely one of rest. For many Americans, living in a world of constant notifications and artificial LED glare, this is the first time the nervous system has been allowed to fully decompress. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for doing and deciding, finally takes a breath. You feel a profound sense of boredom, but beneath that boredom is a rare, deep stillness. By 48 hours, the shift becomes more physical. Your melatonin levels, the hormone that signals sleep, begin to rise and stay elevated. You might feel a heavy, comfortable lethargy. This is the peak of the hallucination phase. The brain's default mode network, the circuit responsible for daydreaming and self-reflection, becomes the dominant force. You aren't looking out anymore, you are looking entirely in. By 72 hours, the 3-day mark, a strange stabilization occurs. The initial anxiety of the darkness has faded. The brain has adapted to its new environment. You have reached a state of neurological minimalism. Your thoughts become slower, more linear, and less cluttered. You aren't fighting the darkness anymore. You are inhabiting it. This isn't a story of destruction or a descent into a void. It is a story of survival strategy. Your brain is a master of adaptation. When it realizes the external world is gone, it doesn't shut down. It pivots, it reorganizes, it prioritizes the internal over the external. This brings us to the psychological layer, the mechanics of the why. Why do we feel so different in the dark? It comes down to how the brain interprets absence. In our modern lives, we are constantly bombarded with prediction errors. We expect a text, we get one. We see a red light, we see one. This keeps our dopamine systems in a state of constant, jagged oscillation. In the total dark, prediction errors vanish. There is nothing to predict. Because of this, your dopamine receptors begin to reset. They become more sensitive. This is why when you eventually emerge, even the simplest things, the color of a leaf, the smell of the air, feel overwhelmingly vivid and rewarding. You might wonder if this means we are meant for the dark. Not necessarily, but we are meant for the rhythm. We are meant for the ebb and flow of information and silence. We live in a culture that values the on switch, productivity, movement, and light. We treat darkness as a waste of time or a source of fear, but your system knows better. Control can be returned to you by very simple means. You don't need a professional dark retreat to find this balance. You find it when you choose to turn off the screens an hour before bed. You find it when you sit in a quiet room for 10 minutes without a goal. You find it when you recognize that your brain needs the off switch to maintain the quality of the on. You are in charge of the feed. You can choose what to let in, and more importantly, you can choose when to shut the door. We promised a non-obvious reward at the beginning of this journey, a benefit that only reveals itself after the 3-day mark. When researchers study people who emerge from prolonged darkness, they don't find people who are broken. They find people who have experienced a profound cognitive clearing. In the absence of external visual markers, the brain performs a sort of disk cleanup. It filters out the trivial anxieties of the previous weeks and focuses on core priorities. But the real Easter egg is something called cross-modal plasticity. After 3 days, your brain actually begins to rewire itself. The areas of your brain that normally process vision start to help process touch and sound. This doesn't just make your other senses better, it creates a unique state of mental fusion. You don't just hear a sound, you feel its shape. You don't just think a thought, you see its structure. This is the hidden gift of the void. It forces your brain to become more integrated, more efficient, and more creative. You emerge from the 72 hours not just rested, but recalibrated. When you finally step back into the light, you won't just see the world again, you will see it for the first time. The green of the grass will seem impossibly bright. The depth of the sky will feel infinite. You will realize that the darkness wasn't a prison, it was a mirror. And in that mirror, you found a version of yourself that is quieter, clearer, and far more resilient than you ever imagined. The light returns. The walls are where you left them, but you are not quite the same. You have learned that even in the total absence of everything, you remain. You are safe, you are understood, and you are ready to see again.